Hello, guys. So excited to be here today for the Pencil Mileage Club. Thank you for having me as a speaker. My name is Brent Knoll, and I am the lead prop and effect designer on Rick and Morty. I've been on Rick and Morty since season 1, and I've started working in the industry in 2013. You might also know me from my YouTube channel, BAM Animation, which I run with my co-creator, Maximus Pawson, who is a character designer for TV animation. A little bit about me. I am 33. I am from San Antonio, and I moved to Los Angeles in January of 2013 to fulfill my hopes and dreams of working in animation. And hopefully that is you guys' goal as well, to work in animation. Otherwise, I don't know why you'd be here. So F's in chat if you're trying to get into animation. Wow. There we go. Much respect. Much respect. Today, I would like to do a background demonstration for people who are interested in maybe learning about backgrounds, because I am a background and prop artist specifically. I kind of do a lot of also general stuff in 3D modeling as well, and I also do animation. So if you have any questions, well, about anything, feel free to type them in the chat at any time, and we can talk about it. But I will go over a little bit of my history first. So we're going to do a cool transition here. I think it's this button. There we go. This is my website, which anyone can access. It's free, live 24 hours a day. And I'm a prop designer, so I design things that characters hold and pick up, or that need to move, that are not characters specifically. So cars, weapons, guns, spaceships, computers, anything like that. What you're looking at right here is just sort of the highlights of stuff. Sometimes we draw more angles than this. And sometimes I even make 3D models to help me draw them, especially for things like spaceships that are too hard to draw. And then I can give those 3D models to the animators so that they can trace them instead of having to draw everything by hand. It saves a lot of time. Some of the more recent stuff from Rick and Morty is, you know, cool squid spaceships, more squids, you know, explosion kind of stuff. Also did a stint at DreamWorks for a bit, doing stuff on Troll Hunters, which is a Netflix series. And that was a 3D show. So for 3D stuff, you have to do stuff that is a lot more orthographic. Oh, also check this out. At any time, you can type stuff right here, and then we can see. Whoa, how about that? Twinkle says they're into animation and character design, and Stacy says they love Troll Hunters. Hell yeah. So being a prop designer for a 3D show is a little bit more difficult because, well, more different because you have to do orthographic views, which is what I just said. But sometimes you can do fun stuff like concept art. But I think primarily I really like 2D stuff because you get to do more stylized drawings. Some of the earlier stuff I worked on was a G.I. Joe episode of Community that was called G.I. Jeff, and we got to draw stuff in the style of the original G.I. Joe 80s cartoon. So this was really fun. And this is definitely one of the areas where I cut my teeth in animation. That was one of my first jobs. I remember that episode. Awesome. I do a lot of personal work. I'm not really a character designer, but I can draw characters. I can also animate. And so a lot of my personal work tends to be stuff that I'm interested in. I like old military stuff and spaceships and stuff from like the Cold War. And sometimes I go to figure drawing events, probably just like how you guys go. Yeah, I love cars. Cars are awesome. Here, we'll put this down. There we go. Now we can see them. And let's see what else. Let's look at some backgrounds. So the highlights of my background portfolio are definitely working on Final Space, which was a TBS show, is now an Adult Swim show. And I got to work on season 1 as a background designer and then season 2 as a concept artist for just a bit while we laid down the foundation of what season 2 was going to look like, because they changed styles halfway through the show. I also got to work on a show called Animals, which was on HBO, which was like photo collage stuff. This was definitely one of my favorite things to work on because it just looks so cool. It looks kind of real and collagey, but also cartoony and designed. But these backgrounds are very labor intensive to make because you have to draw it, and then you have to fill in all the drawings and shapes with like photo textures that you have to like find online somewhere. So it becomes hundreds and hundreds and even like close to 1,000 layers of stuff. Slows down your computer a lot. So it can become very laborious, but they look cool. So my personal background work. I think this is how I draw like normally, I suppose. And you might remember this one from a BAM episode. I did a little animation with this one right here, which I can show you in a bit. And I also do the photo mergey stuff like in my own work as well. We did this one for a BAM episode as well. This is the one I wanted to show you. Animated a short using this style as well. That took me about 10 months. Most of that time was spent on animation, but for like 2 months I just did the backgrounds. I can show you guys that stuff as well. Oh, and I worked on a Disney show called Future Worm, which was cool. Now, a lot of these things I didn't color myself. Like if it's my personal work, I did, but if it's for a production, they're like color stylists. So like for Future Worm, you know, all of this, the reason why it looks so nice is because the color stylists and painters worked very hard to like make all the lighting look all nice and stuff. So a lot of credit goes to them for, you know, the amazing color work that they do. And then I also got to work on Harmon Quest, which was a cool Dungeons & Dragons show. Vivian, I'm glad these backgrounds give you life. Let's check out animation. I don't know if this is going to work totally amazing, but I can show you that I do little like animated shorts because I never learned animation or even went to school for anything like design or animation related. So I've been trying to learn as an adult like how animation works. So I make a lot of little shorts and things like that. This guy's gonna run. We'll let this one play. This is Flash. I did this in either CS6 or the very first version of CC, which was 2015. I actually don't remember because it was very early. Because I didn't come off of CS6 for a really long time. And these were actually some of the first ones I did. You can see the animation a little jerky here. There's not a lot of good spacing. So let's say we have a Flash one. This one's Flash as well. This is one I did for a demo for a class that I taught, sort of about the animation process, going from animatic to finishing out the background, doing like the rough, the cleanup, and final color animation. So this took about 10 hours right there. And my students had to basically replicate this. Or walk cycles and things like that. And yeah, I have various other walk cycles. Here's this character again. This is actually one of the first walk cycles I ever did. So she needs a little bit of help, but looks okay. And then I have a short which we're not going to watch because it's like 90 seconds and kind of dry. But you should check this out on my YouTube channel. This is like sort of my magnum opus. It's called You Down for Sex. And I can also make 3D models, which help the animators draw the cars and stuff like that. And I do these in Maya. Actually, here's some better cars, yeah. Well, Priuses and things like that. Here's some Final Space stuff. The model I got to make for that. All right, let me know if I'm going too fast. I don't know. I can only hear myself talking, so. Yeah, Emily asks, let's bring it up. Whoa, did you give it to the animator so that they know all of the angles? Yeah, so I draw a number of angles so that they know what to do, but sometimes in the animatic there is like a part where like a ship will come in and it'll do like a real smooth turn like that. And it's just a very difficult thing to animate, you know, because it would have to be all on twos at least. So at that point, it's easier to provide a 3D model so that the animator doesn't have to like stitch together like poses, and so that I don't have to draw all those poses. They can just take a 3D model, put it in Harmony, make it move, and then trace the frames. So that's what it's there for. It's for rotoscoping, and it's, you know, that's how they did you know, the car in 101 Dalmatians. That's how Disney used to work. But back then they were using cardboard models with like painted sides. So we just do this. I just do the same thing, but in Maya, and just draw the lines on the car so that they can see what it's going to look like. Yeah, so we get to learn about animation history. I mean, you know, there's Gertie the dinosaur. That's important. Cool. So, I don't know. That's about all I have to say about my work stuff. I wasn't originally an animation artist. I was a caricature artist working at SeaWorld, but I saved my pennies so I could move up to LA and get a job here. And that worked out pretty well. Let's see. This guy asks a question. Many times animators combine 3D props with 2D characters. Do you know how they do it? I mean, I couldn't say specifically, but you can import a 3D model directly into like Harmony, and then and it has a way to like crudely render 3D things. So you could have the 3D model animate and then animate the character and just move it around in 3D space and just kind of do whatever. You could also just trace it and fix it that way. Or you could do some sort of like hybrid thing where you've drawn the character, they're holding something, but it's like a temporary prop that they're just holding. And then you turn that off, and then you import those frames into a 3D program, and you can like import your image sequence, and you can animate the 3D model like where their hand is, and then composite that all together, and then you can have like a compositing. It's a lot of work. Vivian, actually, let's go if we're going to answer questions. Vivian asks, how did BAM come to be? I think I was just watching YouTube, like a lot of YouTube, and I was like, I want to do this. I think this is amazing, but the only thing I know about is animation. So I guess it would have to be a YouTube series about that. And I was also looking at what aspects of a YouTube channel make it successful, and I felt like the thing that people wanted was interaction with the hosts. They wanted to be able to contribute in such a way, or have the hosts like critique them or whatever, like rate my setup or redraw my thing. And so I decided that whatever the animation channel should be, it should be about having people send in art and then us redrawing it. And then I needed a host because I knew that I was not entertaining enough. So I was like, I reached out to my best friend Max, who also liked YouTube, and I just sent him a message. I was like, hey, I want to start a channel. This is kind of what it would be. Do you want to do this? And then we did a bunch of test shoots, and we did some like preliminary work to kind of figure out how it was going to work. And then we just started making episodes. So that is how it started. And originally we just used 2 cell phones to make it. We had one here to record us, and then we had one closer to us that was the microphone, and we would just sync the audio and post. But now we have a lot more equipment. You've taught animation courses before, but the thought of teaching at an art university ever popped up. I've considered it, but I actually I don't think classroom learning is ideal. I feel like I can say a lot more in a video and a lot quicker. Like, I think the structure of like a university class is not the most efficient way to learn something. It just is a place that you can go and exist in a building and then do something, and it takes hours. So for me, I felt like I should just make videos, and that would be the most efficient form of, that would be the most efficient way I could get communication across about how animation works. Because it can be edited down, and then you can watch it in 6 minutes. When you came to LA, did you adjust the city before landing your first animation gig? Did you take classes at CDA? Did you network with people at expos while working at a part-time job? Sort of. So I was working at kind of an internet explainer video type company that I had started with my friends in Austin. And it was not a job that I needed to be there physically for. I could just do it remotely. And I had told them like years before, I was like, my plan is to move to LA, and like I'll probably work remotely for a bit, but like I want to work in animation. And they were fine with that. So when I came here, I already had a job that I could do from my house, and it paid very little. It was like, I think it was like $400 a week, maybe, but it was enough to live in LA. And I split an apartment with my then girlfriend, who also wanted to be in animation. And we moved out to Covina because I didn't really understand like travel distances in LA. I was used to driving in Texas where there's just no traffic. So if something is 30 miles away, it takes 30 minutes to get there. And I just posted a lot of art on Facebook and Instagram, and I would go to parties and network events, and just people were sort of aware that I was here. And then one day my friend reached out to me on Facebook and was like, hey, I have to leave this job, and you seem like you could do it. It's like at a small studio, it's not union, and it starts like tomorrow. Like, do you want to come? And I was like, yes, I do. I'll be there. And it was Rick and Morty season 1. So, and I wasn't even totally sure like if that was going to pan out. So originally I was planning to like only work part-time and like work for however long they needed and continue my work from home at my ad agency. But the first day on the job, I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is where I need to be. I should quit everything else in my life and only do this from now on. And so I slowly like finished up everything I needed to do for the ad agency and just transitioned to full animation stuff. And I've just been getting work ever since. Let's see. What advice would you give to someone starting their first job at animation? Well, I don't know. Have you started it yet, or are you trying to start? Because there's a lot of different pieces of advice. I mean, if you're trying to start, you just got to post art a lot and be noticed, and have your art look like you kind of already work in animation, so that you trick people into thinking that you already work here. Even Evan Cam asks, is this Q&A going to be on YouTube later? They are telling me that they're going to upload the VOD of this essentially to their YouTube channel, so anyone can watch this later. So I think that's the plan, because I am recording this right now, and this will be somewhere online. Um, yeah. So I want to do a demo today. I want to draw a background for you guys. But we need to come up with some ideas first. Let's think of maybe a location that we can draw, and I'll kind of just try to spitball it live with you guys, and you'll watch me stumble around and fail for a bit until I eventually nail it down, and we can all experience this live. I see a beach. I see Paris. Let's keep going. I like architecture. I want to get some ideas. Abandoned college, Canadad, alleyway in Decrepit City Airport, Swamp Castle, Sunset Boulevard, steampunk. Okay. I like airport. I like decrepit city. These are good things. Swamp is cool. Castle is cool. I feel like I'm an airport guy. How do you guys feel about airport? maybe we will do decrepit airport. Yeah, decrepit airport apocalypse. Very very awesome. I could do that. All right, F's in chat for apocalypse airport. Okay, cool. Oh, I got one. So, do you guys hear audio? Like the little animations. Like, did you hear the sound from my computer?
I did not hear this.
Okay. I was just wondering because I can actually play music while this is happening. But
if you wanted to share sound, I think you would have to reshare your screen or
yeah, let's not do that. It's just something I have. It's just something I have enabled for Twitch, and
okay.
This is not Twitch, so it's like
Yeah.
gonna have to. It'll be a little bit weird. Okay, let me think here. We gotta do. There we go. And chat up. Okay, so I mean, the most important part of drawing a background is looking up reference. So let's look at what airports actually look like. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. Let's gather some reference. Okay, so we have an air traffic control tower. You know, big buildings with big glass. We've got the little tubes that feed the airplanes. We need runways. Here we go. Classic Burbank Airport right here. This is great. We got kind of these like long perspective things. So I'm thinking we need like an angle down like this, kind of like looking up a little bit, but we also need to be able to see like the tower, and the tarmac would be good. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're starting to get apocalypse stuff right here. I don't know if I want to do like a down shot like this, because there's like a lot of stuff you need to do for that. It's better if it's like looking up a little bit. So we just got to figure out kind of what. Let's look at LAX. So this is great. We've got the theme building. There we go. Like this is an airport right here. We've got kind of like a long lens. We can see a lot of stuff in here. We've got Los Angeles in the background. This is a bit better. And even a wider one. Okay, I like that. If there's a way to kind of get on the side of this and have it not be so flat on, I think that would be good. That's great right there. The line of palm trees is really nice. I like that a lot. There we go. Now that's a shot. That's an airport. I love this. I don't know what else I have to say about this other than this is like actually the most important part, is that you look at what you're drawing beforehand, and we can kind of be inspired. What are other airports that you guys know of? Airports. I'm trying to think. Oh, see, that's awesome. That's really cool. We've got it going this way. Yes, here we go. This is great. It's all about the imposing building kind of sort of coming over like the pickup area, and then you got to get like little plane coming up there. Yes, let's look at O'Hare in Chicago. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you do the inside as well. That's awesome. Okay, you know what we should do? Let's go look at the maps right here. So here's what I like to do as well. Where would someone come in at? Maybe... Actually, let's do this. Kind of get a sense of what this is going to look like. This is great right here. I love this. We've got the huge curved building. We've got the overpass. We've got multiple lines. Oh, there's a train. That's so cool. There's so much stuff you could put in here. And here's the air traffic control tower. I love it. Okay, we could do something like this. I can't draw from this angle, but we're getting an idea of... Can we do like this? Oh, heck yeah. Oh, I love this. Oh, the train is right here? Oh my god. Okay. Dude, it's like a Disneyland ride. This is so cool. Okay. So, all right, I think we're going to cheat a little bit for this. I think what we're going to do is take a screenshot of that. Put that here. And I want to draw over this, but I want to maybe have it be coming like that. Yeah, Seattle is cool. Maybe, you know what? We could probably put the Seattle Tower in there. That would be cool. I love this train. This train is so cool. Little train right there.
Brent, could you possibly minimize the Zoom chat?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. I should be working smaller. Yeah, so we have to do something like that. All right, if people say stuff, let me know, because I'm not paying attention to that right now.
For sure. If anyone has questions for Brent, feel free to drop it into the Q&A box, and then we can read it out while Brent is demoing.
Katie Lee asks, what's the weirdest thing you ever drew in your career?
I've drawn a lot of weird stuff because I work on Rick and Morty. The Plumbus was weird. I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah, we drew like a flesh gun in season 1 that was like so grotesque that Rick like picked it up and was like, "Oh my god, gross and weird," and he like immediately put it down. So that was strange. I mean, I don't know. I like the weird stuff. Honestly, you know what? It's like really crazy clients that have no like idea like what they have no sense of like art or design, and they have like really strange ideas because they're like they're outsiders. They're like they don't have like they have like a very strange creative process because they're not creative people. So I had a guy reach out to me recently who was trying to do like charity work, but he was like extremely eccentric and really crazy about his ideas, and had like really elaborate he just had extremely like elaborate ideas that he thought were simple but were not. And the deeper we got into like his idea, the more crazy and more scammy it became. So what he wanted was, he presented himself as a nonprofit. He presented himself as like a charity for like animal abuse awareness. And so he would like essentially take your money and promote awareness of animal abuse. His company didn't actually do anything. They just took your money and like made advertisement campaigns. And then he was like, yeah, I need like a single illustration. And the illustration is, okay, so the owner has left his dog outside, and you're not supposed to leave your dog outside. So then the dog dies, and then its body has like exploded, and the meat and the guts are everywhere, and it's really gross. And then the owner is abducted by aliens, and the aliens like probe him, and that's what he gets for letting his dog die. And then in the other panel, the man is a superhero, and he takes the dog inside, and he's wearing a cape because you're a superhero if you keep your dogs inside. And that's just one drawing, Brent. That's just one drawing. And then like he just kept going, and there were more like ideas about like exploding like dead pets, and I had to like hang up after a while. It was so abhorrent, and I didn't draw it, and I blocked him. And he was just like so adamant about his work, and he was just a scam artist. He considered himself a charity, but he wasn't a charity. He essentially was a person who was very good at like SEO, and like he kept talking about how he's friends with Google, and he wasn't friends with Google. He just knew sort of how to manipulate and pull the strings behind the scene to make Google like his page. And so that he would always come up if people were trying to like, save dogs and cats and stuff like that. And yeah, he was absolutely out of his mind. So that's like the crazy stuff that comes up if you are an artist, is you occasionally get propositioned by people like that, and it's very weird. Okay. Also, I haven't talked a lot about the drawing, but I started kind of with the building, and then kind of moved things down, and then zoomed out so we could get more in. And that's something that I do a lot. Is it became like too big, and I have to like smush everything back down, because it's kind of like when you're drawing in your sketchbook. You might start drawing off the page, and then that becomes a problem because the page isn't big enough. But in Photoshop, it's really great because you can just scale things down. I don't even know how big this is right now. Let's see, pixel. Let's go inches. Okay, that's fine. 20 is good.
On the
We have a
topic of
question
that,
from, oh, Julian, go ahead.
Emily Ryzek asked, when doing backgrounds, do you use a perspective tool at all? How do you deal with perspective?
We will be dealing with perspective, but not right now, because right now I'm just trying to figure out the general shapes. And if you've done enough observational drawings, like, you don't really need perspective. You can kind of just wing it. But as we get further into this drawing, I will pull out a grid and then, change parts of the drawing to go with the grid. But that right now, I just want to sort of figure out like the main, what this is going to look like. I want this train up here, but it's becoming a very strange area. Maybe we can do like that. Let's look at those airports again. What's up? What's up?
Evan asks, how do you go about giving yourself an animation education? Asking since you mentioned how you did not study it at school.
I just try hard at it. I don't know. Back in the day there wasn't really YouTube animation, and like YouTube artists didn't really exist back then, and there wasn't like online resources for animation. So you had to find people in the industry who just had like blogs, and they would sort of talk about their work sometimes, and sometimes they'd have little tutorials, and it was sort of the beginning of like Tumblr, the beginning of stuff, because Blogspot isn't really a thing, but it totally was back then. People were, animators weren't like famous or anything like that, so there wasn't, people would just kind of like put stuff out there and not really worry about like who saw it or what. So it was harder to come by, but also sometimes more accessible because people weren't sort of like hiding from the community. And one of the big people at that time was John Kricfalusi, and he had a blog called John K Stuff, where he would just talk about working on productions and his opinions, which were always kind of like, I mean, if you know anything about John K, his opinions are like batshit insane. But there was pieces of extremely useful information on that website that I would look at, and he was sort of like training students, and he would post like their artwork so you could learn kind of like what they were doing, and I looked at a lot of that kind of stuff. And then because I didn't go to an animation college, I have a fine arts degree. I had like an exorbitant amount of time on my hands because I was basically expected to do like no work at school. So I just had a lot of time to like draw and like make projects. And I was like working like part-time at this ad agency, and they would pick up a project that like I wouldn't know how to do. They'd be like, we need it to like animate in After Effects. And I would just be like, okay, I will figure that out now. And I would just, I don't know, open the program and start punching buttons and see if I could make anything. So it was just it was just a lot of self-determination. Okay, what we need, maybe we could put the train right here. Just kind of how it is in the photo. That would be cool. Okay, I like that. And over here, we will, I don't know, we'll do something. Do like that, because it's kind of coming off, the track is going off screen this direction. And then maybe we can get this to go this way so that it doesn't, we don't have to worry about it like vanishing out there somewhere. Oh, and then we can have the train coming in like this. Okay, I like that. Okay, now we just need a better plane up here. I mean, I don't know. How do you guys learn about animation?
I think a lot of us go to the same school for it.
Oh, yeah.
Someone said books.
Books are good. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it comes down to doing it. I read a lot of stuff, but it never clicked until I actually did it, until I opened Flash and like tried to make stuff and failed a few times. So it just came down to me like just doing it and then showing it to a few people who knew how to animate and then being like, well, the spacing is very bland. Like you need to focus more on like this change in spacing. And then being like hurt over that, but then going back to it and like fixing it. And I'm still learning. Like I'm not a very good animator. I just can do certain things, and I just kind of build on that.
I learned a lot about line art from that video from BAM Animation.
Oh, thank you. That was one of my episodes. I directed that one. That one was sort of like an amalgamation of like things I learned about drawing. Because when I first got a tablet, I just assumed that like drawing on a tablet would be like extremely easy and I wouldn't have to like learn anything. And it was like really brutally difficult like right away. And I was like, there's something wrong, there's something broken. And I didn't know what to do. So I watched like a live stream of somebody else drawing and I was like, okay, they can do it. Everything looks the same for me. I guess I just need to practice like line drills over and over and over again. Because that's something we did in caricatures. Like when I worked at SeaWorld is before they even like let us draw anything, we did like line drills so that we could build up line confidence. And I just started doing that digitally and that really helped. So I made that episode to be like, see, you just got to do these drills and you got to get good hand coordination and then you can do it.
All right, we have another question from Evan.
Yeah.
How do you overcome drawing things you're not used to or afraid of in your work?
Yeah, and there's lots of things I'm not good at. Like I'm not really good at drawing characters. For a long time I struggled with hands. I can't draw animals very well. And it just kind of comes down to there being like a great necessity for me to draw those things. And then I look at a lot of reference and try to figure out like what design solutions are available that people have done before. And I draw that like a few times and just keep working on it until it looks okay. And for stuff like hands and characters, like I slowly got better at, but for like animals, like I never actually got better at that. I just sort of, if I have to do that, I don't know. It always comes out looking a little bit strange at the end, or I look at maybe someone else's designs, and I look for a design solution that is so simple that I couldn't fuck it up, and then I do something like that. But there have been instances in like studio work where I was I had to draw some like temporary animal or something like that, like, and so I'll sketch something in, and then I'll see the design go through, and at some point the art director will cross out the drawing and be like, let character handle this, let the character department handle this. So, I mean, there's definitely plenty of things I could be improving on. But certain things I've drawn so many times that I just started to get really good at them, like guns and cars, because that's something I do quite often. So, yeah, at a certain point, people just began coming to me, like if they needed a gun or something.
Emily has another question.
Yeah.
She asks, for layouts, will a show direct your line art and line quality? Do shows with a painterly background just want simple lines to paint over?
I think it varies depending on the show, because like every show like has a different like look, but usually they establish earlier on in the pipeline like what the process will be to achieve the finished look. So let's say you're working for over the garden wall or something like that. The idea with that show was that the background drawings would look like they were made out of pencil first, and you would sort of like move your hand in a very specific way and add like a little bit of hatching here and there and directional shading as if you were making it with pencil and paper. And when you gave that to the color designer, they would paint over it, and they would do things with like multiply and screen layers to sort of like merge the pencil and the paint. So it would sort of become like an acrylic watercolor, like background, sort of reminiscent of like Bambi or something. And other shows that are maybe like really clean in nature, like DC Superhero Girls, the background artist would like sketch it like how we're doing now, but then they would go in and then they would block out all of the shapes using like gray tones that are like super clean and angular, and then a color artist would come in and change all the gray tones to be the paint that it needed to be. So there's often a sort of a pipeline figured out in place for people, and it's not always explained as to how it works. There's not a person that'll sit you down and say like, first do this, then make it look like this, and then do that. It does require you to sort of reverse engineer what it's going to look like, or how it's made. And so the other thing is that I'm not talking about this drawing, which is not helpful for you guys, but let me walk you through a little bit about what went down here. Okay, so we had this picture. I like this, but it's too it's the lens angle is too wide. We can see kind of too much. Like I want more flat things, and I also want to be looking more at the airport. And there's also a lot of great design solutions here that we can use. Like the tram runs underneath the overhang, which is cool. And there's like stairs, and you can see this bridge. And then we got the air traffic control tower. So these are all elements that I want from here. So I got it, and we put the camera over here somewhere. And I'm trying to like lower this road down, and yet we'll keep the train going underneath. We'll have like a little overhang, like the stairs. We get a little bridge, and then we have enough lens angle on this side to see kind of like what is over here, and we can get a nice like swooping shape this way. And so maybe there's a train that goes this way and a train that goes down here, and we'll sort of try to establish these ground planes that are very flat. Like, this is just the horizon line has we're getting that nice and low is the idea here. And we might even do something, we might even make it a little more dynamic by lifting this up a little bit. So that way things are going this way. And then we can flip it as well. Yeah, so it's starting to be a little bit, starting to look a little bit leany. Everything is kind of going this direction, so we'll work on it from this angle for a bit and try to even it out as we add more detail in. And we need to also like change the proportions of things so that it starts to become more realistic. Like an airport is like huge. It's not like, it's not a strip mall. So we need to make sure that there are lots of like small elements that are recognizable that make the airport feel big. So like you could do like that. Make sure that the flag is like super, super small. Like a car might only be, I mean, it's a cartoon, so the car is going to be a little bit bigger. So like a car might be like this, but I'd rather not draw a bunch of cars in here right now. And there's a couple of areas I haven't figured out. Like I don't know really what this is. I assume this is a walkway. And we'll put maybe like a railing on it, but there is potentially something more interesting we can do right there. And then we need to figure out this area. This is some sort of like extension. And it needs structural elements to make it feel like a building. Otherwise, it's going to look a little strange. It can't just be a box. And we just have to figure out what that is. So like if we look at this guy right here, we've got some parking garages. That would be good. This building would be good. Maybe we can take this and stick it over here. And also, you got to look for details that make it read as architecture. So like there's a lot of things going on right here. There's like there's an overhang, right? And then there are pillars, and then there's a curb, and there's a gate, and then you have the glass back here. So it's really important to like pick up on all the, like you want to box stuff in with a simple box, but then you want to elaborate on that box and give it these architectural elements so that it feels like a real building. We can't just draw a bunch of boxes. But we can start with a box because then we know like what size it is. So we have our box. Let's add the overhang, add the curb. There. We can probably see on top of it. I think we can see on top of it. And then we can add pillars, and the pillars can have like pillar-like elements to it. There we go. And we can cheat. We can add that. There we go. And then we'll add that, and then there'll be some sort of entrance right here. Or maybe we put this here so that people go up into whatever this building is. I don't know about this area yet. We're gonna work on that. There is something to there being stairs of some sort there that I like.
Manuel Williams asks, for an animator or illustrator that is fresh in the industry or intern, what are the typical jobs that studios have you do? And what are the things that the studios wants to see in order for us to maybe get hired?
There are a select few sort of quote unquote entry level jobs. An entry level job in animation is kind of like a board revisionist, or maybe a character color stylist. So that's someone who fixes storyboards and someone who colors characters. It's not, unless you are just extraordinary talented, it is unlikely you will be a character designer as your first gig. So those are typically like I guess the perceived like starter positions. And if you're going to be a board artist, I mean, you just need to have examples of boards and animatics on your website, and maybe have done some comics and things like that. And if you're going to be a color stylist, then you need to have like a lot of like finished design work on your website that is like very well colored and looks like how things are colored in animation. So sometimes there's like a little bit of lighting, different lighting scenarios, and showing that you can like color like props and like cars and things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your work if you're really not that great at drawing, but our directors want people who can draw, because you need to be able to problem solve, and there's going to be issues. There will be fires that need to be put out that can only be solved by a person who can draw, even though you might not be in a drawing position. Even painters have to draw sometimes to fix areas of backgrounds or add a little bit more, or sometimes there's just no one else who's available to work on something, and you must take it upon yourself to fix it. I think the other thing was this was supposed to be a apocalypse. So after we get the shape of stuff in here, we'll go ahead and try to add things to make it feel like society has ended, I guess. Oh, it'd be cool if we can get the parking garage over here. That's what needs to go over here. So we'll do like here, and then parking garages have all those shelves, so put the shelf. Okay, it's starting to get a little weird. There we go, put that there. This flag is like too much. We need these tracks continuing, otherwise the train has no place to go. And then this has to be actually straight, otherwise it doesn't work. And there'll be like another platform maybe under here. This is going to. And maybe a little railing. Railing would be cool. Yeah, so at this point, the drawing is getting a little weird because not all the perspective is going the right way. Like we can see kind of down here, but it's not quite right. So we will have to convert over to real perspective at some point. And also make these cars a little more square.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's
about
up,
your
dude?
reference. How dependent are you on your reference? Or like, at what point do you like ditch, like, not looking at the reference anymore and just diving straight into your piece?
I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not looking at it anymore. I'm only grabbing certain things, like just to remind myself that certain things exist. Like we need little boxes and train track kind of stuff, a little infrastructure. And then at a certain point, like I'll look for a different reference and be like, oh crap, like what else could I be using? So right now, like the main building is a little bit bland. So we could start looking at something else. I don't know. So we might say like, that looks cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we can look at sort of how this is handled right here, because something like this could be a good solution for us. I mean, I never really stopped looking at reference until it just becomes so clear that everything is working that I don't really need it anymore, because when you're sketching, that's when you really get to like combine all of your ideas and make it all work properly. Okay, so we will add this right here. And it had the image, which is off screen now, had like these pillars that sort of like held down the overhang shape. So that's looking a lot better right there. And it has like an edge up here. There we go. I mean, there are certain things that I don't need reference for. I mean, if I was going to draw like, I don't know, like a living room or something, I think there's a lot of things that I would just instinctually know what I would want, because I've done that so many times. And it interior shots, especially like living rooms, it can be, the internet has no longer made it acceptable for like normal living spaces to exist online. So it's like very hard to find reference for like a normal living room. Like you can only get essentially like design porn where everything is like super brightly lit. It's like a studio that's like a set. It's like a house from a magazine. So if you search like for living room on Google Images, you don't get living rooms that are real. So it's like become harder to find reference for just real interior stuff. And at that point, it's becomes not useful to look for reference, because you're just going to be influenced by stuff that isn't real. But that, I mean, this is specific to designing backgrounds. This guy is getting like a little too unwieldy. Also, I don't know why there would be a plane taking off if and this is the apocalypse. But maybe this is the last people trying to get out. This is a Left 4 Dead cutscene where the survivors made it out. So we will get this guy in here. Planes usually have their wings further back. And it's a Boeing, so it's got to have the thing on top. All right, we'll fix that plane in a bit. I don't know. Do you guys look at design reference? Okay, hang on. F's in chat if you are looking at something when you draw. There we go. That's what I want to see. F, I hoard reference. Yeah, you do. You can't rely on the internet to maintain reference for you. It's not going to be a good situation because I've just noticed over the past a lot of stuff has essentially been curated off of the internet. Like they want Google and all the search engines want to present things a specific way. They want to make sure that only new stuff is being found or stuff from like movies and TV shows. And a lot of the stuff that was like uploaded in the mid 2000s is like not accessible anymore or like easy to find. And I think that's only going to get worse. So yeah, finding online reference for stuff has become a bit harder.
Hans Gabriel Vitente asked, "What brushes do you frequently use?"
Well, right now you're looking at the just a default brush set to like a lower opacity with no pressure sensitivity. Because if you have pressure sensitivity turned on, cool, awesome, it looks great, but you can't shift click and make straight lines. Like you can, but it's not going to click all the way. So I turn it off so that I can quickly like get a straight line that goes all the way across the page. And I mean, this is important for me because I do architectural work where I need lots and lots of like long straight lines. But depending on the cleanup style, I would change this. This is only how I'm sketching. Sometimes I do the whole thing with just this and just it slowly becomes more clean. But that's kind of what I've been using. I mean, I also have like graphite pens and special like inky brushes, depending on what I want to do. I have like, let me show you. If I was going to do a big brain drawing, I would use this one because it looks like a pencil, which I like. But my brain was too smooth when I started this exercise, so I used the default brush. Going to the zoo and museums, having done a lot of reference studying for my class, it's weird. I mean, it's fun going to museums. I love that stuff. Kind of strange how we need to be explorers and learn outside of art. Yeah, because art's only the skill. It's about kind of what you're bringing into the art. So, I mean, you could be amazing at drawing, but if you just have no taste and like no interests outside of art, what are we going to draw? Like, there's nothing to draw. So it helps to have like a mild interest in things that are not art so that you can so you have stuff to draw from. That's like one of the things I learned. That was like a hard lesson coming out of college because I was like, yeah, the only thing that matters is like animation and art and Mary Blair and Ivan Earl. Like, that's it. That's everything you need is that. And then you realize those are like very like vanilla interests, and it would be helpful if Yeah, I knew more about the world than just that. So what we need is like a side view of something. So I would like to do something right here. I just don't know what. We need like some sort of overhang.
Someone anonymously asked, which backgrounds do you personally find harder to draw? Line backgrounds or lineless backgrounds?
I mean, they're both about the same. I think it takes longer to draw a lineless background because, or a lineless background that's super clean, because you have to draw it first, and then you have to like fill in everything, and then you have to adjust it to make sure that it looks good and change all the lines. I think like a pipeline of a line background only is probably easier because you can sort of offset the color design work on somebody else if that's like the production. Like you just draw it, you just trace it with a 5-point brush or whatever, and then it's somebody else's problem after that. Or you just color it in and you don't know, you fix it as you go. If I think the painterly stuff gets more difficult because there are more steps, and changing things is harder than just erasing the line and redrawing and then coloring it again. I mean, there's certain ways to shortcut all this stuff. Um, you know, there are backgrounds that are so easy that you don't even have to think, like in certain styles. Like if you have a really stylized show or whatever, and you're doing like a sky card, then it'll only take you 8 minutes if you spend 4 of those minutes on Facebook.
Emmanuel Williams asks, how long does it take you typically to finish a project that you're working on? For example, a background set.
It can be a while. I'm like slower, and if I'm working for myself, like I spend a long time, so it might be a few evenings. Um, you know, what you're seeing right here is like what I would just do on the first evening. Like I would just do this, and I might put some gray tones over it and clean it up a little bit more, and then I would just sit on it for a few days while I would debate if I wanted to continue working on it. And if I did want to continue working on it, then I would like retrace it again and clean it up even more, and then spend even more time perfecting it. And you know, it might be a week before it's done.
I totally get you on like sitting on something and then looking at after. You just want to do it all over again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm pretty happy with it. I might have a couple of process stuff I can show you. Let me see here. I want to pull this up on a different screen so I can look at this stuff first. Okay, here we go. All right, this was like a background for my friend Max, and he told me that it's like for a penguin show, and they live in igloos that are like in Big Bear-ish, and they live at the end of a cul-de-sac. So I did this, and then I added more, and then I got to this right here, and like there had to be like a trailer and stuff. And then I cleaned it up even more. And this was sort of the final idea that I presented to the client. Let me see what here is. Yeah, here's like other ideas. And I did the same thing. I was like trying to get the feeling of the cul-de-sac. So I took screenshots of the street where I grew up and looked at the cul-de-sac shape. Let's see how this compares. Yeah, I started with this one. Yeah, I mean, you can see that nothing is left over, but it just helped me figure out how the road should be rounded out. Yeah, because originally I was going to do a very wide curve, but then as I started going further, I realized like I could make the road curve around all the way. I can't quite, there we go. Make the road curve around all the way and show how this driveway goes up. So this is like week 1. And then I started cleaning it up. And you can see, here's like an in progress shot of it being cleaned. And then there was like another iteration where I finished cleaning everything, but then I painted it. So we're going to look at the painted one now. And then this is the final. And you can see it's kind of just one layer of color and one layer of gradients and some stuff. But this is not a complex background. This was supposed to be just a little Gravity Falls thing with extremely simple coloring. And you can see here I used kind of a toothy brush for the cleanup so that it would have almost a brush pen sort of indication. Although, when you're looking at it from out here, you can't really see. All right, we need to fix this plane. We need this plane to not look bad. Yeah, okay, so 747 is kind of like the front part is really big and then the nose is like really small. There's also an Airbus, which would be good. I like a good Airbus. Oh my god, look at that. That's great. A380. What is that? Yeah, something like this would be ideal. We'd like to see it from underneath. Oh, here we go. I know what to do. All right, check this out. Let me show you another one of my cheats right here. Sketchfab. So sometimes you can go in here to these 3D sites and you can get these 3D models that just display in your browser. We'll go with a Lufthansa. This is real sick for getting reference right here. Oh, look at that. Amazing. Plane from any angle I want right there. Look at that. You can see the landing gear that owns. Oh my god. So cool. Okay, so it's kind of be like that. Somebody is following on Twitch. Somebody found my Twitch channel. Someone asked a question. Can you guys read that off to me? I don't quite have... My mind is in the drawing.
Yes.
Cassie, oh, sorry, Cassie Philpott asked, I know you mentioned getting to a studio level with your portfolio pieces. If I want to get into characters or prop design, but I'm terrible at color, would you recommend trying to get my coloring also to a studio level, or just try to find someone to color my designs instead?
One for that, it's just basically like how much time do I want to put into it? Because you could just do gray tones, right, on your characters, and that would be enough. So what I would do is, um, good on you for recognizing you're not good at color, right? Because what we don't want is we don't want somebody who thinks that they're amazing and is super braggy and like has all this stuff, but it like looks really off because it's colored incorrectly and it's not good. Because your portfolio is only gonna be as strong as your weakest links. So if you have all these amazing characters, but are just the colors are like abhorrent, it's just gonna make people immediately turn off. So just do gray tones, and no one will be none the wiser. Or you could just ask one of your friends to color like a few of them, so that you've got a few that are in color while you slowly, practice your paintings and stuff like that, and not put the beginning stuff, the beginning sort of studies on your portfolio, because you don't want to have a bunch of stuff that's like really strong and then like right on top like something really bad because you're still learning. I mean, that's what I would do, I think. We got to get these jet engines in here. All four of them. And if we can, I mean, there's probably not, it'll look weird if we draw like, all of this stuff. Because you can't really like see it at this level. So we just need to imply with like a few different lines what's going on here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I know the model's kind of expensive, but that's okay. I'm not gonna buy it. We need this part to come up. There we go. Dude, now we're starting to look more like a plane now. See, there would be like a logo right here. But we can just maybe add the little windows. Okay, I like that. And then usually there is sort of like a belly of some sort, or that we'll see how well that works.
Where did you gain your appreciation or love for aircraft?
Dude, aircrafts are like real life spaceships, dude. Like, they're just so cool. My cousin he's like an aviation nut, and he's like a defense engineer. He works at one of those companies that does like industrial research for defense contracts, for like the military, and he loves like planes and experimental aircraft and stuff like that. And like I was hanging out with him, and like he would just see a plane go by, and he would like he knew the plane it was called. He was like, wow, that's a P-51 Mustang. I can't believe that's flying down Long Beach. This is amazing. And I was like, that is so cool that you know that. Like, that's awesome. I wish I knew about planes. That was awesome. And I started getting more into more like World War II history and things like that. And you know, planes are a big part of World War II. And Los Angeles is famous for airplanes and aviation. And we made planes here for the war, and especially Burbank. So Burbank has a lot of aviation history, and some of the most important planes flown in World War II that helped the Allies win the war were manufactured here. And so, like, for a long time, Los Angeles was like port, Hollywood, and aviation. So it's just kind of, the more you learn about LA and the more I learned about history, the more I would like learn about this stuff, and I always thought it was cool. And to be a prop designer, you really have to care about this stuff. Like if you don't, it's not, you can be a prop designer and not care about cars, but you're going to have to draw a lot of cars as a prop designer, and it would be helpful if you knew about them, because, you know, cars and planes and other vehicles, you know, they make a statement, and you need to like decide what the statement is going to be and draw the appropriate vehicle to sort of match that statement, or be able to come up with like new vehicles that feel familiar, so that they read correctly. And you can't just draw like a hot dog with wings. It has to be right. So I think the more I've just had to draw and the more I've had to be exposed to this stuff, the more I began to really like it. Here, I got a Burbank piece of history here for you if you guys want to see some stuff. Okay, let me P38 Lightning. Burbank. Got one of those. Okay, so back in the 40s, this is the type of plane that Burbank was making. This is called a P-38 Lightning. And this is for blowing up tanks. That's what this is for. It's got massive guns in the wings, and they both shoot. They put a lot of anti-tank rounds right into the ground, right in front of it. So you aim this at a Panzer, and you could blow it up real quick. So that's what they were doing back then. It's probably flying over Burbank right here. All right, that's all I wanted to show you there. There's your history lesson.
Thank you for that. I'm a big nerd on World War II aircraft, so this.
Oh my God!
Me.
Tell me, what's your favorite?
To be honest, the P-47 Thunderbolt.
What a deal! Let me see. P-47. Let me look that up. P-47 Thunderbolt. I'm gonna judge you. Oh my God! What a plane!
It's very chunky.
Now that's a plane. Oh my God. F's in chat for this plane right here. I love the like checkered pattern. Oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah, you gotta get the stripes, you gotta get the little stars, everything like that. And the steel. So cool. All right, did people put F's for the planes? Yeah, we got some planes right here. Yes, this taste is immaculate. I know planes used to be so cool. Now they're just giant buses. But they're still kind of cool. Let's see. I don't know if I have this. Here, I'm going to show you another plane. I just got this. So for my birthday, we went to the space shuttle Endeavour, which is in LA, and the space shuttle travels around on the back of a 747 when they needed to transport it between Edwards Air Force Base and Cape Canaveral. So my friend gave me a little pin of it riding on the back of the space shuttle transport plane. Okay, I feel like we're getting closer. What are we doing? How are we doing on time?
Currently 8:36.
Okay, and how long do you want this to go?
I think we advertise it till 10. That's a lot.
Oh, we still got 90 minutes left? Okay. Okay, we have time then.
Yeah. Feel free to take a break if you need to too, since I know this is a lot of like back-to-back drawing.
It's okay.
Okay.
We'll see how it's going here. I think we need to start like doing like perspective stuff, although the perspective is fine for I think the type of drawing this is. We should definitely make it look more post-apocalyptic, because that was what the plan was. And we also haven't drawn any trees, and a lot of the problems with the background we can sort of cover up with like trees and foliage. So I'm going to put in some of those things. Like maybe there could be that would be too big of a tree. Like, could we do that? Maybe just, I don't know, like a tree over here. It's too friendly if there's trees everywhere. This has got to be more threatening. All right, it's perspective time, I think. So I always use the star tool for perspective, which is just a polygon tool, and then you give it 99 sides, and you indent the sides. You make it a star, and you indent the sides by 99%. And so we're going to get a shape that looks like that, and all the lines are converging. So then I can kind of just sort of find the horizon line. It's like somewhere right here, probably up a little bit more than that. And with the white arrow tool, I can select the middle of it and align things to the perspective. So that's okay. It might actually be somewhere over here. This is going to have to be bigger. Whoop. So we have to sort of figure out the general sense, because we're gonna have to change things. We have to change over here and over here, but it's not too bad. Like we're pretty close. Like this will give us a pretty good. We're close enough, so we'll make sure that that is readable. We'll change the color to being blue, and we're gonna duplicate it, and we're gonna move this one over here. There we go. That one's easier. So this is kind of going this way now. And yeah, well, that's not actually right. Hang on. It should be more like that. Maybe further. All right, keep going. See, because we're not aligning it to the top of the building. The top of the building is angled, so it's more like aligning it to this right here and over here. So that is more like what we want to do. And we'll make this one red. And I covered this in a BAM episode. And we'll go ahead and rasterize it so it's not like a lot of work for the computer. And then we can crop. Because if you look, it's done something where it like has created all this excess canvas information that would just kind of slow us down. So we'll crop all that off. And just kind of lower the opacity there. And now we can like fix our drawing. Okay, so unfortunately, this whole building has to change. It has to come up like that. We should be able to fix this not too bad. Like we can just put that right here. This is not quite, well, we'll try this for now. I was going to say this bridge isn't totally matching the perspective of the background, so it can be different. But we'll keep it in perspective for now, and we'll change it later depending on how it looks. Now, certain things don't need to match perspective. Like we could do this and try to make sure that this is going this way, but sometimes it might not be important that everything is like perfect. Sometimes it's cool that things do not match and just look right. So depending on how it starts looking, I might reverse some of these decisions and keep certain things not aligning, just so that we create something somewhat stylized. Yeah.
Where did you first learn how to use perspective? Because I know it's kind of like a difficult thing for people to understand.
I mean, just what you're saying right now. This is how I first figured it out. I mean, I knew that things, needed to go to a vanishing point. Like I was aware. I just didn't know how to get a grid going. And then I was looking at an animation background, and there was like a template in it And in the template was a shape like this. And like this was just sort of part of the background, and it was like provided. Let me find it. There we go. And I'd done a lot of like perspective work before. But I would usually just like draw my own grid or something, or like I would make like a grid and then skew it and then try to match that. But I saw this in a background once, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Then you could just do a 1 point with this. And then I thought like, oh, what if you moved it over? And then what if you copied it? Oh, okay, right here in the middle there's like a 2 point grid. Okay, so that could be work. That could work. And then I just thought like, okay, how do I make this shape? And I'd worked in Illustrator a bunch, so I knew sort of like how I could make it. So I just reverse engineered like how to make this shape. And then once I had like a raster or like a vector shape of it, I realized, oh, this is perfect, because then now I can grab it and move the center, and then I can create a perspective grid very easily. And then once I figured that out, it just became a matter of like just actually drawing to the grid. And I figured out other things that were like, okay, put them further away and the drawing becomes more isometric, or put them close and everything becomes wide, and then you can like do things weird to you can like warp the grid and make it like all rounded. But it just happens sort of like once I knew I could make the star, everything fell into place after that, because everything else was just very intuitive. Like, oh, okay, just I've done so much observational drawing, like I've drawn like buildings and stuff, but now I can actually draw them with the guide, and the guide is really helping me. And the Photoshop perspective thing I find to be the most useful version of a perspective grid, because it doesn't they have like perspective grids in other programs, but they're very strange. They're like hard to manipulate. They don't like, they kind of like snap your line to it, and I don't need that. I just need a guide that I can like trace over. So I found the lack of perspective grid in Photoshop to be the best perspective grid, I think. So here we need to fix this. And like we did the first, hour of this drawing without the grid, and it was fine. Like I could have just completed it without this, but this is gonna take it to the next level. At a certain point, I actually like just stopped drawing with the grid for a lot of my backgrounds, because there just wasn't a need. Like I already knew exactly what I wanted. But I definitely used the grid like all the time, like when I was first doing it, and I refused to draw anything if it wasn't in perfect like 2 or 3 point perspective. So you can also do things like this, like I can move the rotation point here, and then like hold a combination of buttons and like move this in perspective. So that gets really useful for like duplicating and like doing like repetition of objects in perspective. So yeah, so you can start to get a lot of realistic shapes like really quickly if you use the tools properly. And I mean, I don't know. This is just stuff I figured out because I've been using Photoshop for so long. Got to get those railings in there. I don't know. Yeah, we can come in here and clean off some of these pieces. I mean, I hate to disappoint you. I'm not going to be able to do anything terribly clean today, but we can do what essentially like my first day on a background would be. And I say first day because this is something we're doing for fun. Like, you know, during my day job, I can't just stop working on something because I'm tired of it. Like I have to finish. I have to sit here for 8 hours until it is done. But you know, this is like for fun. So I would not kill myself on this. I would just work for a few hours until I got bored, and then I would play video games. So we're going to have some sort of escalator going down here, but then the train goes in front of it. So that goes somewhere over here, and then there's like another platform that it's kind of difficult to read right now, but there'll be something like right here that the train could then go in front of, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's draw the train. So we got to get the little cars in here. And the cars are actually slightly too short. And and we can't see the wheels because like usually the carts like sit over them, so we're just going to imply them sort of down here. And because this is like so small, I might not like reference something. I might just make up like a train design and put little windows right here. And clean up these guys. And train cars always have like a little thing on top so it can connect to the wires or whatever. There we go. Okay, it's getting closer. So here's where I'm trying to put the other tree. But it is gonna make a weird tangent with the train, so we'll have to do something where we put like a building in front of it. Like that. I think right here the train will cross, so this is going to be some sort of like intersection. It's just kind of a lot of information to be underneath this bridge. So we'll just try to make it, we'll try to make it as clean as possible so that we understand like what's here and that it doesn't detract. So maybe we need like, gonna need like a sign or something. And then little like stoplights that are, they have to hang from somewhere kind of low. I don't know. Questions? No, people are just asking how I made a perspective grid. No, that's it. It's trial and error. Again, I didn't go to any school where you could like learn about this stuff. Like I have a fine arts degree, and they were very hesitant to like. They really didn't want people to draw. They wanted people to do performance art, which I really didn't want to do. So I would just spend every possible time I had like trying to figure out how drawing worked. And I just kind of learned on my own.
How do you like adapt to drawing in a new style that you've never drawn in before if you're on a new project?
I can certainly attempt it, and sometimes I can fake my way through it enough to make it work, but it really depends. There are some styles that I just probably wouldn't be able to do. But there's enough kind of work in animation to go around where I probably don't have to work on those shows, and that's okay. And there's also sort of like, not everybody is going to be an Olympic athlete. Like, not everybody's going to be able to draw like, I don't know, like DC superhero girls or something, or what the fuck do people like? What's like a really like sexy drawing style? Like, not everybody's going to be Jamie Hewlett, right? Like, that only Jamie Hewlett can be Jamie Hewlett. Like, I'm not going to be able to draw the gorillas like the way he draws it. I could try. I could probably like, I could probably do an imitation, and there could be a drawing, in a way where I could fake it, but you just have to accept that that's probably not going to be you and focus on what you are good at. So for me, that's like mechanical perspective, architectural things in adult primetime animation. And I also do stuff kind of like stylized for fun and like collage stuff, like the stuff I showed you at the beginning. That's like really my strengths, and things that do not look like that. A lot of those opportunities have just not popped up for me, so it's not been an issue. But like, I tested for the Owl House, and I tested for like Steven Universe, and I did not get those jobs. So those are not for me, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to animate like how the show animates. I was animating on a show because I have done actual animation before, and one of the guys on there could not animate with the flash puppets. He couldn't figure it out. He only knew traditional animation, and so he tried to traditionally animate, and he wasn't able to complete a scene. Like, he was employed for like a whole week, and just basically I don't think anything he turned in was usable. I think he only did like 3 or 4 seconds of animation, and it was because it was so elaborate and traditional, like, couldn't use it, and they had to let him go. So in that case, like, yeah, he couldn't adapt, and he just didn't know how to animate with a puppet rig. So that became an issue. But there's not like, if you can animate and you can use the programs and you can adapt and you're very adept to learning software and like figuring things out, then it probably is not too hard to switch animation styles as an animator, because you're working with designs that have already been made. It might only ever become a problem if you get into a space where like you can't draw very well, but you're an animator and you're used to animating puppets, and then suddenly you get on a project where there's not enough drawings to make certain things happen, and you have to draw a lot, and like your animation has all these like funky looking hands and turns of a face that don't match because you can't draw well, and in that case it's going to be a problem. Or if you're like that guy where you can draw really well but you can't use the program and you can't figure out how puppets work, everyone will blow past you because they know how to do that stuff really efficiently, and you're like over there like trying to draw every single frame by hand. So that's kind of like where the pitfalls could be.
Emily Lysak asks, do you get a sketch that looks better than a line art?
I mean, all the time. Yeah. I mean, that's every day. That problem never goes away. But you do get like really, really good at cleaning up your drawings if you're a designer. So at a certain point, it becomes less of an issue. All right, we need to make sure that this thing can actually like be on top of this road. It needs support. So we have to put like a median in here. And the median, I guess the median could, I don't know. We'll just do that. Oh my god, too many buttons. Too many buttons. Maybe that is the median, and then it's actually a walkway. There we go, like that. So you walk directly under the bridge. We're still figuring out the size of these tracks right here, but we're gonna have to move on soon. Okay, let's do a couple of these guys right here, and then we should start destroying this. Okay, now we got a freaking airport right here. It's looking way better. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, how are people following? Are you guys finding my Twitch channel and then following me on Twitch, or is this? Am I live? No, I'm not live. Okay. Okay, I think that's what's happening. Emmanuel Williams says yes, sir. Yes, you can follow me on Twitch if you want to. Yeah, I stream sometimes. I do. Yes. Okay, I stream sometimes. I do games. I also do animation. I've been working on a BAM episode for about a year now, and I did all of the animation for it live on Twitch. So you can come in there. I will tell you that a lot of times my streams are super low effort. Like I'm just hanging out with my friends on Discord and we're talking about like video games. So I'm not really paying attention. So I'm not going to be like this amazing, entertaining Twitch personality. I'm sometimes just there to chill and screw with my friends. But yes, you can follow me on Twitch. You can watch me build a space shuttle. That's what I did last time. Have I worked on any video games? Yes, I have. I've worked on not professional video games. I worked on game jams where I found just like a team of people online and we made a game together in like a month or a couple weeks, something like that. And I have examples of that on my website. I can pull it up actually. I'll show you. Here we go. Okay, so this is a game I worked on in like 2016 in a game jam. And like I did all the environment and 3D modeling and stuff, and then when we had like a coder, and you got to drive around as a little rover and like pick up things and like stack them, and it was sort of like it was supposed to be little like portal type puzzle physics things. But I'll tell you that it looks more impressive than it plays. Most people that I showed it couldn't really figure out the controls, or like the game did not do a good job at like teaching you how to play it, so it just became more about like what it looks like. You can play it if you would like. It's on my website. It's free. It uses the Unreal Engine. But most people did not have a good experience with it, so it was kind of disappointing. I would like to go back in and fix it, but I only know how to change the way it looks and what things look like. I can't edit the code and like change the gameplay elements, because I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. So it would be very difficult. I'd have to like pay somebody to like redo all the blueprints in Unreal Engine. And I think it would be best to just leave that in the past. So there's the game stuff. All right, no more. Okay, more questions about the game. All right, so if you want to destroy stuff, all you got to do is just start erasing and then like taking big chunks out and being like, whoa, shit, man. Like girders. Whoa, there's like moss everywhere. Oh, dang. It's like the apocalypse. And then we can add some debris on the ground. Yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Okay, we'll add a big tear right here. Whoa. These are secrets. These are secrets for you guys, just so you know. Okay, and then we will, I don't know, we'll make that go like that, I guess. Have this girder coming down. Cut right there. Oh, you know what? This could be like, oh, that would be so cool if it was actually held up by wires. Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, dude. And usually there's like stuff. That's too big. That's way too big. There's like stuff in the road. And the doors have fallen off, so the doors are like in front of it, and there's like stuff sticking through. Yeah, and then you need like hanging wires everywhere. Whoa. Okay, this tree, which also needs to be part tree, part like dead. Oh, I don't know. Should be kind of like,
Hans Gabriel Ripotente asked, when you're working for a studio, can anyone pitch a show to a company, or are there certain criteria?
yeah, I think you just walk in and pitch. If it's like a studio that's like open to accepting pitches, I mean, like you couldn't do that at Rick and Morty, I don't think. I don't think you could just come in and be like, "Hey, I got this Rick and Morty spinoff." Like I think they would be like, "No, that's for like the creators to do." Also, you don't want to come across as like being annoying. So you really want to like pick your battles, because I think the last thing the executives want is that somebody who's like more invested in their own ideas and like not focusing on work and always bothering them with like their pitches and stuff, like that would become very tedious really fast. So, you know, if you've got some amazing idea, like really, really consider it and like work hard on it, and wait for the right time, and then when it is the right time, like pitch it, and if it doesn't go forward, don't worry about it. Like don't bring it up and just try again later, you know. And sometimes there are like open calls for stuff, so that's like the appropriate time to do that. Okay, we're gonna add a bunch of debris over here. Don't forget, we need like a byte taken out of the flag. Hell yeah. There we go. These way too perfect balconies. Not good situation right here. We want them to be messed up with like rocks and stuff. We got to make sure all the gateways are blocked. We can't have anybody taking the train out. There has to be debris, otherwise people can leave the zone. Okay, this guy right here. What we got to do here is like whoa, he's coming off the track. Oh my god. It's fallen off. This is terrible. There's been an accident. Oh, and then the the tire coming down, or not the tire, the little train thing. There we go. Whoa, this is terrible. Okay, so hopefully that reads when we zoom out. Okay, it's not perfect. I think if we were really going for it, what you want to do is have like that. So the train car like goes, yeah, I think we have to do that. We have to do that, otherwise it's not going to work. We got to have a train car like all the way off. It has to be like on the ground. There's just been such a horrible accident. They fell 20 feet. There we go, like that. And then this part is like smushed up. Also, that'll help us with this stuff behind, so we don't have to see it as much. And also, it's got to be smaller. And then you gotta have a little grass coming up from the cracked pavement. Hell yeah. There's just the weeds are coming out. They haven't de-weeded in a while. And then maybe like something really big over here. Gotta have pieces of the pillar falling off. It's starting to get there. What do you guys think? Gotta knock out all the glass here. Dude, watch out for the broken glass. Okay.
We have a question from Sarah.
Dude, Sarah, what is your question?
She asks, do you have any advice for creating interactive backgrounds / props where characters are interacting with said props or backgrounds? For example, a character holding a weapon or someone running through an automatic door.
Okay, like you're gonna animate that, or we're talking like an interactive experience, like you've uploaded a Flash game on Newgrounds, and like the person can interact with the character who's interacting with the background. If you can type a response to that.
Her response is painting a background or prop that would be used in animation.
Okay,
she's referring to like prop and background interactions with characters.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Well, okay, so anything that's going to animate with the character has to be one shade lighter, because the audience has to immediately recognize which of the 10 shoeboxes will be opened, because it's not part of the background, because this is 1965 and we're working at Hanna-Barbera. So that's number one. I don't know. You just kind of like, the most important thing is that you know what's going to happen. Not the audience, but like you know what's going to happen. So if you do an animatic or something like that, and the character is going to go pick something up, and then you have to, you just need to paint your background and layer it in such a way where something can be like lifted up, like out of a bookshelf. Like let's say they're picking up a book, like just paint your whole background, but then you have to like mask a little area off in Photoshop and like layer it properly so that whatever the prop they're going to pick up can slide. It doesn't have to work perfectly, because if you're good at compositing and you're good at like masking and After Effects, it only needs to be like part way there, or just leave a space and then just like have it be an animated element. So it just comes down to layering and understanding like After Effects compositing and knowing like what you can and can't do. It's not After Effects is very robust in any sort of compositing program, so you can do a lot of stuff even without layers. Like you could just brute force it with masking. But I mean, you just want to paint your background in such a way where if the character is going to pick up something that's part of the background or move a door, that door can be animated in a very simple way. Because otherwise, if you've got a bunch of textures and stuff on everything, the door will either have to be in a different style and like look flat so that it animates, or you have to like build out a bunch of doors with textures on them that like open and close, and then that way it looks like it's part of the background or something. Like if you have like a design where everything is just flat colors, then it doesn't matter if it's a prop or a character or a background, because everything is like looks the same. Like a character looks the same as a door, so it doesn't matter if the door is like part of the background or just something that you animated on later. But if you've got like a super painterly style and the door is like super painterly, then you have to come up with very creative ways of animating texture. And I think I would just layer it properly and leave a hole and just start animating my scene. And I would animate the character reaching out and grabbing, and then I would do another pass where I just had the door shut, and it was like I was focused very intently on masking it and making sure it was like fitting in, and then just animate it to the character's hand, and then back again if it was going to close. But if you're talking about just like a gun sitting on a chair, I mean, you just draw that like when you're doing the animation, and then you just pick it up. I think it's a bit hard to explain without showing you. I might have something. Let me see. Okay, so the treadmill and the guy are not part of the background. These are like, and they're also like in a different style, so that the treadmill, I can actually animate the treadmill, like, because you can't really, it's hard to animate stuff with a bunch of texture on it, because all the texture needs to be tracked. So it's easier if you just have like background style and like character style. But sometimes you get into a space where he has to interact. So let's see if we have, like, I don't even think this background is properly layered. Like, I don't even think that the character can actually go behind this wall. Like, if he were to go this way, right? He needs to go behind this. So I think I knew that, and let me see if I have this. Yeah. I think I knew that, and then I basically just cut up the background and very haphazardly like cut patches. So here we go. Here's an element that I can move around that I just cut. Like, this is all just one layer. I just lasso tooled it out. And this was so that the guy could be flung off the treadmill and hit the radiator, and the radiator could just go like that. but it's really, really haphazardly done. Like it doesn't, the radiator can't go behind this element because this element is not layered properly. But that's okay because we don't actually see that happening. And I don't know. If for some reason you needed the character to go behind this area, you can do weird shit like, let's go ahead and make a mask. I'm doing this in Photoshop, but you can do this in After Effects. And I would just make this whole element a mask and fill this in with black. And then we can unlink the mask from the animated element. And look, it goes behind now. Now, is it a clean mask? No, because the mask it's like missing, but I could just clean that up, and then it can at least look like it can go behind. So if for some reason this needed to like go to the side, you can do that, and you can do it in extremely hacky ways. So there's many ways to solve problems like that. And it usually just involves layering in After Effects. I might have something else. Let me see here. There's no way it's going to take 2 minutes. There we go. Let's take a look at this animation. Yeah, I don't know if you remember from before, but the guy like hit the radiator, so that's why the radiator needed to move. Okay. We're going to get... Here we go. Okay, so this character needs to be holding the steering wheel, but I didn't want to have to animate his fingers on top of the steering wheel on a different layer because he both needs to be behind and in front of the steering wheel. And I only wanted a single layer of animation for this. I just wanted I wanted to be on one cell. So what I did was let's find him. The steering wheel is actually on top. And it's being masked out by this mask, which is animated. See how I can move this shape and it reveals the steering wheel on top of his hand? It's just very carefully tracked. And it actually moved right here, like it moved off. Because if I didn't move the mask, if the mask didn't animate, it would stay on there and it would cover the steering wheel. So the mask is actually animated off. And it's hacky. Like if you wanted to do this extremely cleanly, you could just animate on several layers and then have the fingers on top of the steering wheel and then the steering wheel and then him. but it's harder to manage that kind of stuff, especially like when you're in the groove of animating. It could be a lot easier just to animate on one single layer. So you could do stuff like this, and this makes, I mean, it looks fine. So just a lot of animated masks for things like that, and just, you know, infinitely more complicated depending on what it is you want to do. Let's see, I got some other stuff in here. Where is comp one? This one, I believe. Let's go ahead and watch. I'll show you what's going to happen. I think, here we go. Okay, so the door closes, and I did not actually like draw a door from this perspective. All I did was skew this. So I just made sure that the door was on its own layer in Photoshop, which it should be. It's somewhere in here. That's that. There's the tree. It could be that. No. Driver door. Here we go. So here are the keyframes of the door, and yeah, it's just skewing in position and scale is all that's happening. And it's done on twos. It's not a smooth squish like this. It's actually it's a hold and then a hold and then a hold, and it's played on twos, and you don't notice it because it isn't smooth. And so putting stuff on twos, especially stuff in the background, you can start to cheat a lot, and it becomes less noticeable because twos are more forgiving. And we only needed to see it move for. It only needed 1, 2, 3 drawings. And so a lot of times in animation, especially for background animation, if you're not really going for, you know, very elaborate Disney kind of stuff, stuff tends to happen extremely quickly, and in as few drawings as possible. And so that's how you can avoid having to animate very elaborate background interaction stuff. And this scene is more about the little like the scent thing moving. So what happens is like the door closes in 3 frames, and then you just spend kind of the rest of the time looking at the easing of the tree, which is all these keyframes right here. And yeah, and I just, because these are just Photoshop elements, like collaged, like I use After Effects for this, but the character is animated in TV Paint, and he's animated by hand. So I just animate him first, and then I put all this stuff in After Effects and do a little background animations and stuff. So hopefully that was helpful.
Gabriella asks, when there's background destruction, is that hand animated by the animators, or is that also the background artist's job?
So when there's like background destruction, which is actually something we do all the time, like it is animated by hand, like on Rick and Morty. Yeah, it has to be, because the backgrounds look the same as characters. Like the backgrounds don't have like, they only have some texture to them. So you can just basically replace like a building with a hand drawn element, and then animate it exploding by hand. But you have to use certain shortcuts. So like I've had to animate stages of like a shed like collapsing in on itself, and it becomes like really really tedious, because you've got all these pieces of wood like overlapping each other, and they all have to track. They all have to like and they have to break apart and like match perfectly. But what they do a lot of times is show the very beginning of an action happening and then cover it with an explosion. And then as the dust settles, you just see the final frame. So maybe there's only one element in the foreground that really has an animation that you can see, and then the other stuff starts to move, and then just explosions everywhere, and explosions can be repeated. And then you either cut away from it, or once the explosion is over, you just see the final stage. So the idea is you try to limit it to just that. But if something is going to be destroyed on screen and you see it all, it will probably have to be mostly done by hand. But hey, you know what? You're paid by the hour, so it's just more money. Let's get some clouds going in here, and then I think we're almost done. Yeah, so what I want to do is make sure that these clouds like look cool, but also like don't, conflict with the background. I don't want to have any like weird tangents on anything. I'll make them kind of going this way so that they're like a little bit off kilter, like strong diagonals, hopefully. And you know what we need? We need like those little like horses being like, don't come here, you guys. There's bad stuff. It's there's a blockade. There's barbed wire. You're gonna get tetanus. So we put a bunch of sandbags over here, as if someone had a little stakeout. And maybe even some barbed wire. Is that going to read? It's so bad. It's like slightly too big. Gonna have to scale this stuff down. So you don't want to have like a bunch of like big, like you can't have oversized elements, otherwise everything starts to look really strange. Because like the barbed wire would only be like that big, so it starts to get kind of hard to show that from this distance. But we can try to put the little the little crossing guard warning stuff here.
We have about 14 minutes left.
Okay, very good. I mean, I think we're done ish. I don't know. Any final requests here? There might be enough time to do like a little bit of tone. Let's work on that. So one thing that helps like sell, like if you're going to do BG design, is just doing like a little bit of tones so that your drawings read easier, because you know you're giving these to you have to give these your drawings, even if they're sketches, to an art director so they can sort of figure out what you're trying to show them. So just, you know, not even anything elaborate, just quick tone so that the shapes and silhouettes like read properly. And if you have time, you can do, you know, you can of course do more than this, but this kind of stuff really helps, and this can help sell your work, and especially if you're like making your portfolio, just having a little bit of this kind of stuff here is quite good. And we can do it extremely quickly as well. These aren't the most threatening clouds, but it's okay. Now, are you guys recording this as well, just in case something is messed up on my end?
No.
Okay, don't worry, that's fine. We're gonna be good. We're gonna be good.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Trust the system.
I mean, hang on, let's find out. Yeah, it's happening. I see it right there. We'll be good.
Okay.
Okay, let's do kind of like maybe sun's coming over here somewhere. So all of this. Hello. Put that right there. You get a little highlight. That'd be awesome. The lasso tool is not wanting to cooperate today. Yeah, we're definitely knocking out these guys kind of quick, which is good. That's what you want. Not too much time spent on this stuff. Needs to be very quick. Okay. One play at the cloud is still over here. Like we can see past that. There we go. I'm loving that right there. It's looking good. And make sure that that is in shadow. And that is in shadow. Some of this probably. I'm wondering, nothing else is jumping out to me specifically. Make sure that that thing has got a hole in it. Okay, very good. Oh, thank you, whoever that was, for the follow. John Numbus. All right, now we can cheat a little bit. We can be like, increase the contrast, but not too much. Try that again. Yeah, like that. There we go. I just want it to be brighter. Well, I don't know. Just needed more. There we go. That's, you can do that. And then sometimes you can even lighten the line art so it's just not so much. Well, here's what we'll do. We'll do this. We'll lighten the line art in certain areas. So we'll do like, take a little bit of a lighter color and push some of this stuff back. Yeah. That way this, it's just the tiniest amount of implied atmospheric perspective. There we go. Okay. Starting to work here, guys. You could do things like, this is overkill, but you can do like little bits of gradients and stuff like that. Like you can kind of show that this is getting darker. Put that here and then make this apply. And what we'll do is we'll take this part out and we'll erase that. There we go. Okay, very good. I like that. Something a little bit over there, and then we'll erase that part out of it. And then maybe we'll do like get a bit of a sky gradient, but we will select these areas and then remove it from that. There we go. Nope. Need to include this as well. There we go. There, now we can have like a little sky gradient. Okay, cool. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, I don't know how big this file is going to be. Let's see. It should be... Well, we'll find out later. It'll probably be a few gigs. I have all my recordings optimized for stuff like this. All right, there it is. F's in chat.
So good.
I don't know. What do you guys think? We just did it. We just did it live.
That's crazy. I don't think I would get this much progress in the same amount of time.
I'd honestly love to go to this airport.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, you can play Left 4 Dead here. Well, I'll save this, and you guys can have this as well if you want.
Thank you.
Oh my
Airport.
For
God,
indulging us.
No problem. We'll switch over to the live chat. Okay. Any final questions before we get out of here, guys? We got 2 minutes or more, depending on your questions. I know it's going to take time to respond, but I thank you for. I'm glad you guys like it. Watching drawing happen in real time is not terribly exciting, and I'm not an exciting person to watch, but I appreciate that you stuck it out.
I don't know. I really appreciate the destruction sounds you made. Like, oh no.
Great. Let's see. Have you ever fallen asleep during a project? Probably not like while I'm drawing, but sometimes I take a break and I will take a nap. And I've been doing that more since I work from home. Not sure, but I do know to practice environments with Blender more extensively. Yeah, I mean, that is something you can do. 3D is, it's not going to help you draw, but it will help you kind of like figure out like set design and exposure to the 3D camera and knowing where to place the camera and like looking at an environment and like composing a shot can help you. So it helps in certain ways. I mean, if you want to get better environments, you do have to actually draw them and, look at something and draw it and try to make it look nice. But I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of 3D stuff, so it did help me. I'll tell you that. It was incredibly exciting to watch. I'm glad I'm glad you liked it, Christina.
Seeing any questions come in.
Oh, we're getting questions?
Or I'm not seeing any questions come in.
That's perfect. Okay. I mean, type Q in chat if you are about to ask a question, and type F if you want to end the seminar. This is a great overview. So glad it helped. Okay, we're getting some Fs. I feel like I learned the most from watching pros draw, so thank you so much. Thank you. F, thank you. F's all around. Love it. Love you guys. Let's see, which one is it? Should be that one. There we go. Hey, F, thank you. Thank you for your time. No problem. Max does not have a Twitch. Max does not stream. Max has a Switch. He plays Switch. Thank you so much. Cool. All right. Well, I have a very special way of ending the stream. If you guys are down, unless you want to say something.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for coming to talk with us, and thank you to everyone for showing up.
Heck yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm gonna lead you out with my outro thingy that I made. Heck yeah. All right, stream is ending. Thank you for tuning in, guys.